Hi guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you another Recent Reads video. I just got back from walking, so apologies if I look a little sweaty, but I wanted to get the last of this light before it goes away for the night, so I could get this filmed. I want to talk about the last 4 books that I read in April, and the first one that I want to mention is Columbine by Cullen. This is a nonfiction account of the shooting that happened at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado on April 20th, 1999. And I picked this one up because it's the 20th anniversary this month. I didn't know a whole lot about Columbine prior to picking this up. I knew the very basics, the shooters and how many people died and the date and things like that. But other than that, I didn't really know much. And this book goes step by step through. It starts with the shooting itself, the day of the shooting, and then it sort of goes back in time, and it sort of goes between before the shooting and then after the shooting, and you see a shooter's process of planning the shooting, and then you see the aftermath, and you see some of the controversies that happened and things like that. I learned a lot from this book, things that I'd always taken for granted about the shooting were just completely blown up by this book. For example, the shooting, they killed 13 people, and that's horrific enough in itself, but apparently the goal was actually to blow up their entire school and kill all 500 students at the school, and there were bombs that they had put out in the cafeteria and things like that, and the bombs were not done correctly, so they didn't go up. So it was just really interesting. And then there was another thing about the girl, Cassie Bernal, who was shot. There has always been this story about how one of the shooter that killed her asked her if she believed in God, and she said yes, and then he shot her, and it's been a big thing in the Christian community. And this book actually shows you that didn't happen, and it actually was another girl that had that conversation, and she actually lived and was not killed. And so that was just really interesting. This book was very engaging. It's a 450-page book, and I read it in about 3 days because it's so compelling. But it also, in my case, I found myself, it was keeping me awake at night because I kept thinking about different aspects of the shooting, and there's a lot of discussion. For example, Dave Cullen believes that one of the shooters was a psychopath, and so he goes into detail about what psychopathy is and how you can tell what the symptoms are and how the shooter met those symptoms and things like that. So it is a very disorienting book, and I would urge you to be cautious because obviously it's about a school shooting. But on the whole, I found this very interesting. I learned a lot. I'm planning to keep this in case I ever need to reference it. And yeah, it was just a really interesting book, and I'm glad I finally read it, and especially in honor of the 20th anniversary this month. I then was planning to read something more lighthearted after I finished Columbine, but I went away on my work trip and I needed something portable to take, so I took this one. I took The Glass Castle by Jeannette. This is Jeannette Walls' memoir of her childhood, and she grew up with 2 parents that were not very good parents at all. Her dad was a drunk, and then her mom was a very selfish person who was more interested in her own art career rather than, getting a job and feeding her children and supporting her children. And so Jeannette and her brother and sister sort of banded together, and eventually they all moved to New York. Her older sister goes first, and then she gets money and brings the other 2, and then eventually their parents come to live there too. But this is the bulk of this book is about Jeannette Walls' childhood in Arizona and also in West Virginia. She and her family moved around a lot because her father was constantly, getting kicked out of being fired from work and wasn't paying their bills, and there were creditors coming after them. So this was a very sad book and very infuriating book because you just feel so annoyed at her parents because they are despicable people. And she obviously cares for them, and you understand that because they're her parents, but you also, it's just, I was so mad through the whole book. I mean, you're mad too, but it's not the same kind of madness. I can't explain it, but this was like very visceral anger when I read this. And I want to watch the movie because I've heard it's pretty good, but I'm also kind of concerned that I'm just going to be like yelling at the screen the whole time because that's what I felt like with this book. It was just like so infuriating. But yes, this is a very well written book. Jeannette has a very good writing ability and has such talent, and I'm so glad she got out of that terrible, place that she was in with her family, and she managed to go to college, and it kind of reminded me of Educated by Tara Westover, which is being pretty, really popular right now, but of course, this doesn't focus so much on the educational aspect. This is more about strictly her childhood. But yeah, I can't say I enjoyed this, but yeah, I'm glad I finally read this, because yeah, it was very, very good. I then finished my Bible study book, The Moral Teaching of Paul by Victor Paul Furnish. I won't go into this very much, just to say I learned a lot about Paul's letters and about his views and how his views are very much set in the setting in which he was writing, and you can't necessarily just pick things out, which is true of the whole Bible. And yeah, we had some really great discussions at Bible study. So yeah, really enjoyed this. Highly recommend it if you're interested in a book for your Bible study or Sunday school, or you just want to learn more about Paul's letters. And then I finished off the month of April by doing a reread. I reread The City of Dreams by Beverly Swerling. I read this a long time ago, probably in like middle school or maybe early high school, and it's actually the first book in a quartet of books, and so I've always wanted to read the whole quartet, but of course it's been so long since I read this that I decided to go back and reread it. This is a multi-generational saga about the Turner family, starting out with Lucas and Sally Turner, who are a brother and sister, and they come to New York, which is known as New Amsterdam, in the 1660s, and then it follows them and their descendants all the way up into the Revolutionary War. And this family is a medical family. Lucas is a surgeon, or no, he's a barber, sorry. He's a barber, which means he does like weeding and cupping and things like that. And Sally is an apothecary, and then their descendants, some of them are apothecaries and some of them are surgeons and some of them are doctors. So this is a very gruesome book. It does discuss medical procedures taking place without anesthesia, so just all the trigger warnings for that as well. But it's a very interesting book. The setting is very, excellent. It discusses a lot about the, issues of this time. And also, I should say, there's a trigger for rape in here. There's triggers for abortion. There's triggers for anything that might make you squeamish. It's probably in here. Leeches. They do leeches back then. So yeah, this is a really good historical fiction book. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy like the gruesome medical parts per se, but I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the overall story. I enjoyed the Turner family. So yeah, I would recommend this if you're interested in a historical fiction about, New York way back when. And then the next 3 books continue the story of New York up until, I assume, modern day, but I don't know. But yeah, I've already ordered the second one through Interlibrary Loan, so I'm really looking forward to checking that one out, finally, now that I've reread this one. So that's all I've read so far in April. I am still reading My Antonia by Willa Cather, which is my Willa Cather for the month. I'm hoping to finish that by the end of April, but we'll see. And then I'm also... May is my birthday month, and so I'm planning to read some books that are like some old favorites, and then some books that I feel like really define me. So I'm looking forward to a lot of great reading coming up in May. I hope everybody's having a great day, and you're reading some great books, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!